You're listening to the Variety Sports Network, your home for the best sports podcasters and live shows.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first ever here, March Madness Mania. We're still just finishing up the first round here this evening, but we'll get into most of the games going into. I got Logan Stone joining me here from Variety Sports Network. We're proud to be here at the first kind of episode here at the NCAA recap here during the games. Some of them still going on. Like we said, Memphis still playing. A few other teams about to roll out here. Indiana's about to start. But big upset we're going to get into in a second. Logan Stone, how you doing here?
Pretty good,
Day, my friend.
Oh yeah, it is March 17th. You know, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't think I've ever celebrated a St. Patty's Day, and it just seems like my type of holiday too, where you just drink and get slapped around by a bunch of Irish guys.
There you go, just a regular Friday then. In the books, there, the regular, no special holiday there. Hey, we got a lot to get into. Actually, there's been a ton of upsets early here in the tournament. Yeah. I find it interesting. Like, I like college basketball, like going all the way back. I used to watch it all the time growing up. But there was a point where I kind of stopped a little bit because you can't watch everything. And I didn't watch it as much. It's hard to watch all the regular season games all the time. But I do kind of follow along with people on Twitter, getting updates on scouting reports. You kind of have a little bit of a feel. But, man, what a crazy start to the tournament. Just right before we got on the air, let's just start there, right there. Purdue, they're the 1 seed. They lose. I think they lose to Florida there in the first round. I mean, only the second time that has ever happened where a 1 seed has lost to the 16 seed. Just unbelievable, like, kind of start to the finish there. Did you see the game there?
I didn't get to see all the game. I saw little snippets of it. I was working on some other stuff, but yeah, it's just so weird. Like, you hear about Purdue, and there are teams that even if you're an outsider looking in, Gonzaga is always going to show up. Duke, obviously, even without Coach K. And Purdue is always, it just seemed like Purdue was always going to be somewhere in the mix. And I had I didn't know there was an FDU even in the NCAA. So that was always weird to me. But yeah, it's weird. It's kind of one of those things where you can never, there is no free moment. There is no moment where you can just say, okay, I can breathe here. It's March Madness. You are fighting till the end. It's madness. It's madness.
And I was an idiot. I said Florida. I meant from Florida. The Farley. They had their coach had such an interesting press conference too. It caught me off guard. I guess the thing we should start with is Purdue side of it. Obviously, they're the 1 seed in the tournament. They have the player of the year in Edey on their team, the 7'4" junior. It just seems like in the tournament, I wrote that down as like the big guys, very rarely do those type of big man lead your teams to a championship. Not always does that happen. I got to go back and look and be official, but just in my mind, like those kind of slow timbering guys, even at those heights, they just have their issues come playoff time. The strategy, teams can speed up the game like they did today. They were trying to press them a little bit, put pressure on the ball handler, make it very hard for them to get into the big guy. And if he's not able to get that little jump hook going like he wasn't in early from 5 feet, it just seemed like they lost a little confidence in him, and they got in. They fouled a lot more. They said they were the team that fouled the least, and they had like 7 fouls in the first 8 minutes to start the game. So they were really thrown off their game. Purdue has struggled in the tournament the last 4 games as well. But Logan, I guess my biggest point is can a big guy succeed in the tournament? That it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to work that way.
Well, who was the player's name again? The big guy that you said?
Edey.
Zach Edey. Yeah, well, I mean,
Edey.
I think Edey?
Edey.
Oh, okay. Weird. Whatever. It's a weird name, okay? It is weird to see that happen, but I always think about like Zion Williamson, like whenever he was playing for Duke.
Yeah.
Like he kind of came in and he was just this freak of nature, and he was like such a big guy, and everyone was like, oh, well, he's going to kind of fizzle out. And he did towards the end. But so, yeah, it's hard. But, I mean, it's working for him. So maybe it does. Maybe the tables will turn finally.
I just find it interesting when like your best player is always a big guy at that height. It does work. It just works sometimes, but like you could 7'4". It's a giant out there compared to everybody else, and just the way they were trying to use them and stuff. I found interesting, and just kind of leads to me, I guess, this upset, like we said, a 1-16. It happened about 5 years ago against Virginia. I have it down below. Virginia plays a slow pace too, and they got upset again this year. A big upset. They were a 4. They lost to a 13 seed there in Furman, and just, I mean, I don't know if you saw the highlight of that game, but just a tragic way to lose that game. I mean, the guy basically threw a grenade up to the middle of the court. He gets it stolen. It leads to an easy look for 3. He makes it, gives Furman the 1-point lead and the win over Virginia this year. But that was the big upset this week. And then we also have the Arizona over Princeton upset as well. We add that to the Purdue upset. Man, it just seems like these basketball as a whole is a lot healthier. Like there's a lot more good teams out there. Like I feel like 20 years ago, I wasn't even thinking this was possible. So I guess that's a good sign for basketball overall.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I've always kind of attributed like some of those higher seeds look at the 16 seeds and they're just like, or the lower seeds, and they're just like, oh, we don't need to really worry. This is going to be an easy game. We don't need to practice that hard. I've seen it in Major League Baseball and football all the time, and that's always been my thoughts on it. So maybe, but I don't know.
Well, I know Jimmy from the far end of the bench might appreciate this, but like I know his favorite movies, The Replacements. They're like, we got nothing to lose, and that's what it feels like as the 16th seed, right? You got nothing to lose. You're going out with everything you got, and but in this matchup, it was interesting. They looked a little bit more athletic and stuff. But like I said, we also had Arizona that lost. I was at that game, fortunately, yesterday, so I kind of wanted to touch on that game yesterday a little bit, going to Sacramento.
Yeah, I lost my invitation in the mail somewhere, I guess. So,
well, we're not big time yet. You don't have that private jet yet, baby. You can't come out there. Yeah, fly.
You don't know what I have.
You flying on Brandon's buddy out here?
I'll do it.
You're coming out here. That would be good stuff. One of these days, I guess the tournament, it's coming to Missouri next year, so you got to be paying attention there. I got to see Missouri actually this week. That was kind of fun. But did you see that game at all? The Princeton, the Arizona game, or the highlights of it at the end of it?
I did watch that one a little bit. Princeton. I'm trying to find my notes where Princeton is at.
New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. My notes are everywhere.
Well, you do a lot, man. You got a lot of notes.
I'm trying to find everything here.
I got you for a few minutes here. We got New Jersey. They're from New Jersey. I learned that yesterday at the game yesterday in Sacramento. That's where I thought that. I didn't know they were. Harvard. Do you know where Harvard's from? Little Ivy knowledge there.
Yeah, I know Harvard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where it's from? Where are they? Where are they
Massachusetts,
located?
right?
Yes, they are. Boston, to be specific. There you go. All right, you got your notes there. What you got on?
Okay, 59-55. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do remember this because Tyler and I were supposed to go last night, and he said he was too sad to go. I'm sorry,
Tyler into this. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, it was a great game being there. Like I'm gonna tell you this, like the atmosphere. The weird thing about being at a location, if you ever go to an NCAA tournament, it was unique because it's in Sacramento. So I live about 2.5 hours away from that. So drove there to that game. But it's interesting. You have 8 different schools in one location. Arizona and UCLA are the closest to, maybe Utah State too, and Boise State, the closest to Sacramento, but still quite a distance. So it was unique to get the different fan bases in one arena, and then just random fans, in other areas too. So it was a very unique experience. And then I was so excited to get that atmosphere where Princeton, was rallying at the end, and everybody is like, well, screw that. We're all going for the underdog at that point. So it's just the crowd kind of takes over at that point. Yeah, maybe a good thing Tyler didn't go at that point to follow us at Fat Boy Fadeaway, Arizona fan. Not a good spot there, but everybody turns on him. That's what you do, right? You always go for the underdog at the end. And I think Princeton fed off that, got the last 9 points in the first half, and then they got the last 9 points in the second half. That's finishing a game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
smart kids so won.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you just got to play to the I know it sounds redundant, but you got to play till the end, and I think Tyler made a short VSN short a couple of weeks ago, and I think he said in his short, he said they are so bad at just finishing games. Arizona is, and that's always been their downfall. And we see it again that they just kind of choked at the end. And not Purdue, Princeton kind of took advantage of that.
Yeah, Princeton, they were feisty. This guy from England, was it Newcastling? You don't even want to pronounce his name. If Tyler knows it, we're not even going to try it on the show. But look at it. He was unbelievable in the game. It was surprising. Arizona couldn't guard him. I will say in the next round, I think Missouri has a better chance on him. Kobe Brown was very good for them yesterday. All right, let's keep it going here. Logan, I have a question for you here. Since you just a fan checked in more around tournament time, right?
I'm sorry, you cut out on me.
For college basketball, you're usually checking in around NCAA tournament time. So I'm saying, what are you looking for when you check? Because it is a one-game late elimination. So obviously, as a sports fan, that immediately gets your attention.
So before I kind of listen to sports radio, and I kind of try to hear what players I need to be looking for. Like I said earlier, Zion Williamson. I remember hearing about Zion Williamson back when he was I think like not even a freshman, but
high school probably.
High school, and so I was kind of interested in seeing him in the March Madness, and then I saw Taco play a game once. And that's it. Yeah. And I really started liking him. So I started rooting. So certain players, whenever I see them just kind of perform really well, because you can tell, you can just see which guys are going to do well in the NBA. And so those are the guys I kind of follow. And so I don't necessarily follow teams because I don't really have a college team. I don't really have a basketball team. So I just kind of follow the players themselves and follow their stories until they get to the NBA, really.
Now, my dad, growing up, when he'd watch the games with me, because he didn't have a team. I ended up liking Cal. They've been pathetic forever. We talked, that is another story. But anyways, he just was always the underdog. It doesn't matter if they're the 8th seed and that, you just root for the underdog. So I feel like that's my first instinct always as a fan, even as NCAA tournament. Even though I might like players, it's let's see the upsets. Let's just see craziness. And it didn't happen as much as it's happening now, which is kind of crazy. I just think it leads to the depth, like I was saying earlier, too.
Does he root for Gonzaga then?
That was our original team, man. 98. That was our first team we root for. So I still have a little – and the bracket set up again where UCLA can meet Gonzaga. I just feel like every year they might as well be the best. They might as well be in the Pac-12. They're the top. Those two teams are always fighting for the West Coast. Sorry, Tyler. I know Arizona's in there, but not that much in there with it.
Tyler's getting beat up in this episode.
Oh, he always gets beat up, and he always beats us up too once in a while. There, he's got a little bit more love. That's just our way of showing it to him. What do you have any memories? I'm curious because I have so many. Do you have anything that sticks out to you? You were at somewhere and you saw this. Is there any type of memory that sticks out to you with the tournament?
No, I mean, honestly, I started paying attention whenever Zion played in his last year at Duke.
So that's the one memory you have is Taco Fall probably playing him in the NCAA tournament then.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, there you go, man. That's a memory.
Well, also whenever I was a kid, when I was a kid, the Gators were a big deal. And so my uncle, he went to the entire tournament because he's filthy rich. And he was like, hey, you want to go? And I was like, I don't like basketball. And I was too stupid of a kid. I was like, I follow baseball. I don't follow basketball. That's sacrilegious. So,
well, and that's a good probably way to at least mention our sponsor. I bet your uncle said at Row 1 brand there. So hopefully he said at Row 1 there with it. So yeah, we got
right.
One. That was a team with Noah and Horford and they had the 4 first-round pick. That was a good team there. Well, there you go. That's why if you tell people you got Taco Fall and Zion, I'll have to send you the video of that game there. That way you can reminisce. All right. So for me, there's always let's get to the last kind of part of it here. We'll wrap it up here for our first March Madness, kind of giving you a little recap here going into the second round. Some of the night games still going to finish up here in a little bit. There's a few intriguing matchups in the second round. Immediately, always I go to the West Coast, but this time I'm actually going to go to the South, and it's Alabama versus Maryland, and it's because Miller, with his injury there, he had to leave the game. He had no points in their victory over a 16 seed. We saw today that's not always granted, but they did get the W. They play Maryland, who's going to be a tough team for them without possibly could end up being the 2 or 3 pick in the NBA draft next year. It sounded like Nate Oates said he'd be ready to go. That's a game I'm going to be looking forward to watching a little bit. And then, like I said, I kind of want to see how Princeton responds against Missouri after their upset. And of course, for me, St. Mary's UConn, to me, that's a juicy matchup in the next round as well, going into the next round. So those are a few games that I'm looking for. Is there any team that you saw or anything like that, or a player that got your attention?
So I don't know why, but I'm gravitating to Marquette.
It's not a bad call. Uniforms?
No, it's not. Listen, I'm not one of those fan boys. No, but I don't know why I caught the last 10 minutes of that game versus Vermont.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what it is. They felt very coordinated, and I'm not enough of a basketball aficionado to just know what I'm seeing. It just feels I like Marquette for some reason, and so I think they're a team to watch in this tournament.
That's a good call there. I mean, they do have one of the best coaches in the whole entire country. Shaka Smart. He won he should win Coach of the Year this year, and he was the guy that led VCU. What was that, like about 8 years ago, to the Final Four run with Fred VanVleet. So that your instincts might be right, my friend. He's a good call there. They are the 2 seed, and they have a really good, really strong team, and like I said, a really good head coach who is hungry to prove he's one of the best coaches and wants an NCAA championship. So that's a good call as well. Marquette Eagles, that was always a team I always liked because they always had some interesting players. They always have Wade, of course, but they had Butler, they had like Crowder, like some real kind of interesting players on their team that I like there. So that's a good call as well. All right, as we wrap it up here on the March Madness thing, you look like you got something to say about it.
I didn't want to say this, but I have to say this. Beth Mowins, she is the worst. She has the worst voice I've ever heard in my life. I can't stand her. She's like a knockoff Reba McEntire.
What do you want Reba doing the game?
No, I don't want Reba. I don't like Reba.
I used to watch Reba with my wife. It's a good show. It's not bad. That guy's not bad. You got to do something. At least I'm still married to her, right? At least it wasn't for nothing, all right? At least I was Reba for nothing.
I had to listen to that game on mute. I was like, come on.
I might have to watch Little Rascals tonight just for Reba. A little right there. All right, we got there. Right? All right, so NCAA tournament there, kind of like just a little bit of a recap there with it. What do you think? Anything for you second round going to catch your attention? Anything like last thoughts on the tournament here? Just anything you want to kind of like get out about it?
Nothing really. I mean, I'm just here for the ride, honestly. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Logan, I'm sure the crowd appreciates you there for the ride. They want to hear that.
They always want to hear.
The ride. They need you on the ride.
They do. Let's see. Ooh, Duke versus Tennessee looks interesting. Is Duke still great without Coach K?
Well, they got the 5 seed. They won the ACC tournament, so I'd say they're in good shape. To me, the juicy matchup is that UCLA Gonzaga one. That's a West Coast special there. So that's the one I want to see the most going into that next round. Memphis now or Florida Atlantic's like, well, we get the 16 seed. That's what I mean. Like, those are the teams that got to be the most excited when they see an upset ahead of them. The ones that are like should get their butt kicked the next round.
Oh, yeah. I also want to see Houston and Auburn. I want to see what Houston is made of. It seems like I don't know. They just seem. I'm not necessarily. I don't feel as great about them as I do the Golden Eagles, but I don't know. I want to see what they're made of.
That's actually a really good call too, because Houston they played that close game against Houston in the regular season finale, and then they lost to they lost to Memphis in that regular season finale, and then they lost to them in the championship in the American Conference. And then they had that injury to Sasser. So, they kind of have a lot going on there. So we'll see how they respond. Sometimes I feel like those teams that get out of that first round game that are the favorites, they kind of just kick ass that second round. Like, I don't know. It's almost like a wake-up call a little bit for them, even though it's a better competition and they should be. But it's almost like those teams, like you said, like they have nothing to lose. And they're going to throw whatever. They're going to throw like weird zones at you. Guys that maybe were underlooked that just are there to, they're there for it all, like that day. So that's a different mentality than you're used to, and that's why you see these great upsets like we saw today and on Saturday. And I'm sure we'll see more throughout the tournament. So, Logan, with that said, my friend, anything else? Any last final thoughts here?
I got one last question. So I'm not like that into like I don't follow the basketball world. So how bad are nerves for these? I mean, because like they're kids basically. Do like even like these top seed teams like do the nerves bother them as much as it should, or are they
I
pretty
think the
calm?
first round does, because think about it. If you're the favorite, you're expected to kick butt. It's not even
Yeah.
that you're expected to win. And I think that can make you a little tight. That's in my experience coaching those teams and just seeing it throughout like any big sport, right? You see it in baseball, you see it in every sport where like, yeah, you should win by 5 runs. Well, you lose the series in 3. You know what I mean? Or like that happens sometimes. So I think that can play the fall. And that's where you just need those killers. You need people that are just like, I'm not losing this game on this part, and they just take every shot at the end. And you saw that today with Xavier, like the guy he's actually from Oakland. Shout out, went to Oakland Tech. Our guy, he went there for a bit, so he in the Bay Area. He went there. He had a great game day bomb. He pulled like that. Looked like they were going to lose today. Yeah, that was a 3 seed, and they come out and win too. So that's kind of the instinct you need a little bit. So that's a good call there on your part with that. Well, should we end it there, my friend? You got anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, what do you say? Maybe we'll do this tomorrow night?
Yeah. Let's get drunk tomorrow and watch the whole thing. You know, I'll come over to you. I'll finally get on Fat Boy Fadeaway, my longtime dream. And
I think we have to make that happen Sunday morning, maybe. We'll get you on there. Maybe we'll break the curse. We'll break
Sunday
the
morning.
curse. We'll break the curse. That's the problem, man. I love what was my favorite comment. You're like, go to bed. I was like, I don't like that's great. That was great, man. I like that.
Yeah.
But you're as somebody that lives 2 hours ahead of me, are these games a problem? Do you like the early starts? Is there a time that you watch it better than others, or no?
Not really. No, I don't have a real bedtime anymore. I just go where the wind takes me.
Ladies, is a man, he's wandering. You help him out of here. We need to help him at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, we love Logan Aaron. Hey, Logan, this was fun. I like talking basketball. This is a good chance for us to touch on the tournament any way we could. Guys, check us out tomorrow, March Madness Mania. We'll be talking a little bit of the second round with it. Till then, peace.